Brianna Texon.
Good, Brianna.
Brianna Texoni here.
Chad Wadsworth here.
Tim Jorgensen here. A board member, Miss Jensen, is out of town. She's absent, so we're 1C, regular board meeting agenda for April 24th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for this evening?
Chad will move.
Chad,
Brianna was second.
Brianna, discussion, Dr. Sahaki.
Regarding the board agenda, Mr. Jorgensen, there are no adjustments or changes. Thank you.
Board member discussion? Hearing none. Call the question.
Paul's draft I.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Kelly Jensen, absent, 4-0-1. 1-2, public partition at board meetings, Dr. Sahaki.
None at this time, Mr. Jorgensen. Thank you.
There are none. One, three, adjourn to closed session. The board can adjourn to closed session to conference with labor negotiations, public employee discussion, discipline, dismissal, release, conference with legal counsel, or student matters. Do I have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
Brianna will motion.
I'll second. Call the question.
Paul's draft I.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Kelly Jensen, absent, 4-0-1. We'll adjourn to closed session. Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to reconvene to our regular meeting, and we'll reconvene at 7:33. Mr. Paulsgraf, would you lead us in the flag salute, please?
Hats off, hand over hearts, ready, begin.
The 4B, the copy of the civility statement, Ms. Taxoni, would you read the civility statement for me, please?
The civility statement states, communicate clearly and concisely with respect to the time of others. Listen objectively, carefully considering the opinions of others. Understand the counterproductive effects of disruptive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors. Understand and respect district policies and procedures. And maintain a respect for the rich history of the district and the efforts of others who have served in the past.
Thank you, Ms. Taxoni. 1.5, closed session. The board will consider and may act on any of the following items: conference with labor negotiations, public employee discussion, discipline, dismissal, release, conference with legal counsel, and/or student matters. It is my duty to report that there was no action taken during closed session. 1.6, public comments, recognitions, and reports. Dr. Zahakian.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. I want to say we have 6 public comment cards. I'll provide you with 4 on the same topic. Public will like to keep it in this order, please. Thank you.
Discussion information. With the submission of a card, each respondent will have 3 minutes are allotted to any one speaker and no more than 20 minutes on the same subject. This portion of the agenda is for comments, recognitions, and reports to the board, and is not intended to be a question and answer period. If you have questions for the board, please provide the board president, myself, with a written copy, and an administrator will answer your questions at a later date. The first speaking card that I have is Christine Bennett. If you could step to the mic and state your name, please, for the record.
Hello, I am Christine Bennett. I live at 34160 Desert Road here in Acton. And I'm here representing the parents and the children of our community. I have served each of you with a letter of intent to file a claim against your school insurance liability policy that is held by a risk management company in lieu of your individual liability bonds that are required by state law for every person who is elected by appointed to government or public office. You have each taken and signed an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the state of California, which we find you in violation of. We have provided you with a list of 18 state, federal, and international laws that in your packets that you have been violated. You might not realize this, but each of you is personally liable for the predetermined amount stated on your policy for damages per claim. You have 3 business days upon receipt of this notice to act upon the list of demands provided to you within your packets. We have the right as free Americans living under the Constitution of the United States, Bill of Rights, and the Constitution of the State of California to free travel without restrictions, seek employment without stipulations, shop freely, and live our lives without mandates that violate our God-given rights as free people of the United States of America. You were elected by the people to serve the people, not to control, destroy, and enslave and dictate what we should and should not be doing with our lives. We have heard enough lip service here. We demand our freedom of choice for our children. Thank you.
The next speaker is Kit Groupie. Did I pronounce that correct?
Yes.
You'll step to the microphone, repeat your name for the record, please.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me? All right, good evening. My name is Kate Groupie. I've been a Acton resident and my students have been in your district since 2009. I'm here tonight to support these people, our friends, our community members in this town on this issue of masks and mandates. That being said, my children here tonight are part of what you probably see as an issue. I support my children in what they're doing. I'm a firm believer in standing up for what is right. I'm a law-abiding citizen, so are my children, and I would venture to say that all of these people in here are too. Mandate abiding, I'm not sure. Hit and miss. One county away, you can wear a mask. Another county, districts up north, there's a district just down the road there off of Soledad Canyon that's not really enforcing these rules. I get it. That being said, since I've been in this district, I've seen superintendents come and go, principals come and go. I don't know who's who. Every year it's something new. But this community is here to tell you that we're not going to back down on our beliefs. It is your job as a district, it's your job as a superintendent to do the right thing. I'm not telling you to violate mandates. I'm telling you to figure out what to do with these students that aren't going to wear masks. You guys don't have a plan in effect. The plan is we're going to wear masks and that's how we're going to do it. What is the plan for the students that aren't wearing masks? It's uncomfortable. It's not just a decision. I've asked my children why. It's hard to breathe in them. It's uncomfortable all day. My ears hurt. I agree. Okay, you guys as a district need to figure something out and put a plan into effect of how you're going to address this issue. This isn't a big city. This is a small town community. People support each other and everyone knows everybody. So that being said, I'm here to support these people and what they're doing. And I hope you guys really focus, and you as a superintendent and as a board, on how you're going to address this in an appropriate manner. My child being in a hallway, being instructed to do so by the district office is inappropriate. My child, per the education code, actually is allowed to participate in PE a certain amount of time. I could pull it out on my phone, but I'd imagine you as educators should know that, have that off the top of your head. The comments that I've heard have been made by your employees, it sounds almost like it's a matter of opinion at this point, a matter of agreement. And some of the employees within your district are voicing their personal opinions. It should be a non-biased education program. So that these things need to be addressed. I've addressed it with the principal, who's been very good about communication at High Desert. That being said, I'm asking you to figure out a plan on how you're going to address this. These kids are still going to come to school every single day. I'm going to drop my children off with or without a mask. They need to be educated. Thank you.
Next speaker is it Madison Groupie? Could make sure the microphone's adjusted for it, please. Just turn it, push it. Turn it. There you go, Madison. Just state your name for the record, okay? And then you can read your statement.
Hi, I'm Madison Goofy.
Go ahead.
I'm a student at High Desert Middle School, and I'm here speaking of how I think it should be a choice to wear facial masks. As you can tell right now, I'm very emotional about it, and I really, really do not like it.
Take a deep breath. You're doing fine.
very upset about how it is a mandate and everything that has been going on for the past 3 years. I've been told by many people here that it's a law and I should wear a mask. It is not a law, and I know it is not a law. It is a mandate. And as I've said before, I'm not happy about it. My friends and I could not eat lunch yesterday because we did not wear a face mask in the NPR. We couldn't eat yesterday. I got home and immediately ate because I was starving. I am very disappointed in that. And I know my parents are too. So I get it. I'm a student, but I should have a voice too. So I feel that it should be a choice. If a student wants to wear a mask, why not? Thank you.
The last speaker, is it, yep, I'm not sure, is it Henry Phoenix or Phoenix Henry? Which one? Phoenix Henry. Take the mic, take Phoenix, take the microphone out and just hold it, okay? There you go.
My name is Phoenix Henry. I'm a student at Merrill Elementary School. I'm in 2nd grade. I'm tired of getting headaches and getting bloody noses, and I want to see my friends' faces. Can we get rid of the mask? Thank you.
The next speaker is Susan Gilbert. Name for the record, please.
I'm Susan Gilbert, and I'm here to speak about the COVID vaccine mandate for kids. And I want to make several points as follows. Number one, while Governor Newsom keeps pushing COVID vaccines on kids, the death and injury rate from these supposedly safe and effective vaccines continues to rise. As of February 11th, 2022, the CDC reports that there are 1,983,365 total adverse COVID vaccine events, which includes 24,000 deaths from the vaccine itself. Number two, Newsom's vaccine mandate for kids destroys parental choice and puts the government in charge of making medical decisions for you and your kids. If that doesn't sound wrong to you, then I don't know what does. Number three, act now with respect to the COVID vaccine mandate for kids. It's easy to kick the can down the road and think we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That's like saying my feet aren't wet yet as the Titanic is sinking. The COVID vaccine mandate is currently set to kick in on July 1st of this year for grades 7 through 12. That's only 5 months away, folks. Does that mean you, the board, are going to sit around and wait until June 30th to figure out how you're going to handle this? The time to act is now, not later. Number four, be proactive. Do what schools in the Santa Clarita Valley and other surrounding areas have done. Discuss the COVID-19 vaccine mandate for kids. Put it on the board agenda. Invite parents to come and speak out. Tell parents your position and whether any exemptions will be allowed. Not saying or doing anything doesn't help parents, keeps them in the dark, and only breeds more anger and resentment. Last, I propose under California Education Code Section 35145.5 that the COVID-19 vax for kids be put on the next board agenda in the next board meeting as an item of discussion. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And the final speaker that we have tonight is Tracy Thompson.
Tracy Costin. One of the many great things Tess Toledo did while at Meadowlark was to call each student, each family, when the pandemic first hit in 2020. She wanted to connect with students during this confusing time to let them know she was there for them. And I believe that to be one of the kindest gestures I've come across in this district. The littles need reassurance, but so do the teenagers. And I'm happy to say connections are being made with Dr. Murphy. I'm not sure if he believed students needed extra connections during a time when they are dealing with a pandemic, a post-pandemic, a new pandemic, or if this is just his character. The positive connections he is making. As the current leader of the parent group at Vasquez, I can tell you the consensus is that this colorful, energetic person with a tremendous amount of education experience is just what these teenagers need. This has been the most difficult school year since the pandemic hit. Students began the year in person, hoping for some normalcy. And every week there was a change with quarantines and masks and sports games being canceled, their principal leaving at the beginning of the year, an interim coming in who was very nice, but students knew it was temporary. And then Dr. Murphy comes along, and students were a little skeptical, hoping that maybe this one will lead them. And we all quickly saw that indeed he was here to lead, arriving early, staying late, greeting students, staying for every home game, whether on weekends or at night, attending community events to build relationships, and now teaching 5 English classes until that position is filled, while still having to complete his other administrative duties. I personally have observed him taking the time to meet with my senior, and I know he's reached out to every senior as well as any student who needs help reaching their academic goals. And now that he's teaching, he's connecting with students at a different level, always prepared and always with a great attitude. I haven't seen this kind of commitment from a principal at Vasquez during my time there. The things he wants to implement, such as Mustang bucks or academic and positive behaviors, is something he wants for this school because he sees the need to reestablish school pride and spirit. He truly cares about the students, and it shows. To quote another parent that I spoke to recently, he is the best thing to happen to Vasquez in a long time. So thank you for your continued support of Dr. Murphy. That is all.
Six B, Golden Spotlight, Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. Since the new year, Ms. Carrie Wright and Christy Tu have administered over 1,224 PCR tests, gave out 593 individual home tests, and identified 51 positive COVID cases with the rapid tests. The stats that I just provided only skim the surface of the diligent work displayed on a daily basis by Carrie and Kristen. With our ever-changing health and wellness parameters placed on school districts, this dynamic duo never shied away from the challenges and maintain a laser-like focus in ensuring our students and staff remain healthy. Their consistent detailed messaging and education of the health and wellness parameters are genuinely appreciated. It is the warmth of your care beyond existing conditions that ensures parents that their kids are safe. For this evening, board and community, our Golden Spotlight recipients are Miss Carrie Wright and Miss Christy too. So without further ado, I'm going to have them come up for recognition. And at this time, if the board would indulge us with a photo, please. And then Miss Wright, if you want to say a few words at the podium, and Miss Christie, I'll leave that up to you. That is optional.
I'm Nurse Carrie. I've been here for, I want to say this is my 6th year here. And I'm not from this community, but I do love this community like it was my own. I've watched kids grow up, and it's an amazing community, and I try to put my whole heart into it when I deal with the kids, and I understand the frustration everyone's feeling, because we're feeling it too in the health office. Every time they change a rule, every time I have to send kids home, it's not fun. It's the last thing I want to do. I want to see these kids' smiling faces every day, and the last thing we want to do is send them home because we have to quarantine. So I just want you guys to know that we do feel your pain.
Board member comments, Mr. Paul's.
I have something on that, but I'll hold it to my comments. Thanks.
Good, I'm good.
Yes. Carrie, I was there on your first day at Meadowlark, and then I was there at High Desert with you. You've been incredible since you stepped foot on our campus, and I can't imagine all of the things that you've gone through and the changes that you've gone through COVID. Christy, I'm thankful that she has you for assistance and backup. I know she couldn't do it without you. So I've heard you guys are a great team. So Carrie, you know I love you, and I think you're incredible. So there's not a whole lot more to say about that. I know that you are a superhero for our district. So thank you both for all that you do.
Carrie, I know that you have a very tough job. I see your emails come and go and come and go and come and go, sometimes multiple times a day. So I don't know how you keep track of it all. It's a big task that you have, but I appreciate you. My family appreciates you, and thank you guys both for being here and serving the community.
Carrie, I want to recognize you as the nursing profession, because you're on the front lines with all the nurses that are in our medical facilities and so forth. I'm a 19-year EMT, and I know the stresses that go along with medical intervention when people are in distress, whether it be psychological, physical, or respiratory. And you're doing a really unique job for us. You mentioned that rules change. You get something at noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, there's another thing coming out. Science moves so quickly and so fast that you and Christy have done such an exceptional job of working the hard hours. And I get that it's frustrating that you look at the students and you can see their eyes. Well, yeah, the mask covers that up, but we can't, we want to get past that as soon as we can. But thank you for your hard work and looking out for the welfare of our students first and our staff as well, to make sure we get past this epidemic, this pandemic. Thank you very much. to it. All right, 7, correspondence proposal reports. Ada representative?
Good evening, I'm Sheldon Sparks. I appreciate you having me here tonight. First, I'd like to give a shout out to Alexa Left. If you're out there, Alexa, I hope you're feeling better. We're thinking about you every day. Hope you get better soon. Wanted to give some kudos to some people who are in our everyday world right now. Mr. Mirza and Mrs. Shaw, Ada appreciates your honesty, your hard work, your willingness to listen, and we are truly feel like we are partners when we work with you. And so thank you for everything that you're doing. You're giving up lots and lots and lots of time, and we see it. So appreciate your hard work here. Like to give kudos to Dr. Murphy. Dr. Murphy in the house. Sir, you're the first person there on campus every morning. You're there at 6:30 because you're opening the front gate and I'm opening up the back gate. You are doing 2 full-time jobs, and I don't know how you do that. You are a man who I find to be gregarious, fun-loving, student-driven. It is a privilege to work with you. And I can speak for all the ADA members on the high school. We are so thankful that you are there and that you are giving as much as you are giving. I don't know how you are doing it. So I just want to tip my hat to you, sir, and just say thank you very much. Your work is appreciated. A lot of times when I come up here, I am speaking and I am putting my my personal reputation on the line. A lot of times I speak for people who I don't necessarily agree with everything, but I still come and I bring the message. Part of the most important thing that you guys can do as a board is communicate, and how you communicate and what you say. It gets picked up. It is listened to, believe it or not. Everything you say, whether it be one comment, whether it be a 10-minute diatribe, people listen to it, digest it. And like Mr. Wadsworth said, it creates either dissension or it creates unity. A lot of times we feel, Mr. Wadsworth, I'll put words in your mouth, we feel like there's an us versus them mentality. And a lot of times I wonder if it's not self-driven. I wonder if it's not us causing the angst. Last week I came and I was talking to you about people who are sick, people who have been sick in the classroom. And I was told that that was a misnomer. Sir, that is not a misnomer. And what happens is we get a feeling out there that now that you're calling ADA representatives liars. And I know that's not who you are. I know that is not your intention. I'm not here to point my finger at you. I'm here to remind you that we are professionals and that our words mean so much, not just to me. Again, I'm a big boy. I have thick skin. I'm good. I don't take things personally. But people in the classroom who are working so very hard in the most challenging year feel like sometimes that we're not appreciated, that we're not seen as equals. We're not seen as partners. I love each and every one of you in your own certain way. I mean no disrespect when I come up here every week. But I wanted you to remember that what you write on your Facebook, what you write on your social media, what you speak in your public comments echoes in this community. It can unite us or it can divide us. And when we're sitting there picking on people for cameras or for logos or for working so hard, raising money, because that was what the board asked us to do. You asked us to do that. And we did it. And a lot of times we sit there and I wonder, hey, what is the board's job? So I Google this kind of stuff. And the board's job is to give us what? What do you want to see? What do you want to be? What is going to be measured here? Where do you want us to go? Where do you want us to be? And how we get there is up to the people who you hire. And so my encouragement to you is keep casting vision. Be mindful of your words. Know that they can either unite or they can divide. No more than anything else. ADA stands committed to partner with this. I would not waste my time coming here every day, working a 16-hour day on most Thursdays, if I didn't care and if I wasn't passionate about what we do in this community. We should be excellent. We should be the shining city on the hill. We should be the role model, the example. We have talented people here. We have to make sure that we're encouraging them. We have to make sure that we have consistency. I personally have been here 5.5 years and I've seen 7 principals sit in that office. We need consistency. We cannot change them every 6 months, 9 months. Because what happens is you get one person who comes in and they focus on one thing and then we're done with it, get burned out or whatever happens. I don't know. But then they sit there and they start focusing on the next thing when the new guy arrives. It's hard to sit there and implement programs and watch them develop and watch them grow if every 18 months we're changing our vision. And so I hope you hear us. We are committed to partner with you. We need consistency. We need communication that heals. There's division in this community. If you were to ask, what do you think about the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District? You would get a variety of different responses, but all passionate. And so again, I thank you for each week that you invite me up here. I hope you do not feel like I'm attacking you. I hope you don't feel like I'm pointing my finger at you. I'm telling you, Ada wants to partner and we're still here.
SCA representative? No. Student representative, Ms. Rudd is absent tonight.
Mr. Jorgensen, if I could just make a comment. Haley Rudd, she did mention that she can't be here tonight. She has a volleyball game and it's away. And
Softball.
volleyball?
Volleyball.
It's a away game, so we wish her all the best tonight and the team. Thank you.
Oh, great. That's super. Superintendent, gold standard report, Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. This evening, I'll be covering the following strategic initiative: effective instruction and leadership. First off, I'd like to thank our Meadowlark school site staff, teachers, parents, and students for their input for this principal stakeholder survey. The survey really helped us build the profile and characteristics to support the recruitment of the ideal candidate. Per the survey results, top 5 leadership qualities came about. Some of these include involvement with all school functions, increased communication, prior administrative leadership experience, trustworthy, compassionate, and transformative. I am truly confident that we have identified the ideal candidate in Ms. Nicole Moynihan. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Moynihan. She's here in the audience. Thank you for being here this evening. Pending board approval this evening, Nicole will bring over 4 years of administrative experience, particularly in the areas of student services and special education. She has taught special education for 10 years. Her first teaching experience, which I think is really neat, was at Agua Dulce Elementary School. And she's very excited to be back in the district. We're excited to have you. Yes, thank you. I don't mean to steal her thunder, but just a little bit about her background. She's also taught general education, math intervention, Gate Academy, and started a coding club. After teaching, she became a special education program specialist and then director of student support services. Something that I'm very passionate about, my background. We are confident that Nicole will continue to build on the excellent foundation that is Meadowlark. Also at this time, and I think, yes, Ms. Chun is here. Excellent. I'd like to publicly thank Ms. Nicole Chun, teacher in charge at Meadowlark. She never says no. Yes. Thank you. Thinking about wearing multiple hats, we're all wearing multiple hats. Nicole's been phenomenal, taking the charge, supporting the learning opportunities for our students these past 6 weeks and then some. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. I'd like to continue with a Makerspace Initiative.
Hang on.
Yes.
Ms. Moynihan, are you Katie Moynihan? I'm not. Do you know her? I do. Where is she now? She's my sister-in-law. She was Tammy's first sped teacher. Oh. She's the most amazing person. Tell her that Fallsgraf said, you are the most amazing person. That's a first, guys. She's an amazing person. That's not my daughter's life.
I will do so.
Thank you.
Moving forward, this evening we'll be presenting the board and the community a proposal to design and construct a makerspace classroom intended for Meadowlark. Forgive me, I usually like to provide actual pictures of our students in action. These are stock photos, but gives you a little bit of an idea. Some of us may have heard of Makerspace. It's been a buzzword floating around for quite a few years now. But what is a makerspace? It's a room that contains tools, other components, allowing students to enter with an idea and leave with a completed project. The best part is that makerspaces are communal. The goal is to work together to learn, explore, collaborate, and share. Makerspace, simply a space designed and dedicated to hands-on creativity and project-based learning. Materials found in Makerspace might look different throughout the school year, depending on the type of learning activity at the forefront. Sometimes it could include a cardboard and tape. Sometimes it could include laptop, microphones, and green screens. A makerspace can take the form of a mobile cart that could be shared between classrooms, set of stations that students rotate between, a variety of materials and equipment that live in various parts of the classrooms and accessible by all. We are excited about the possible opportunity to bring this type of hands-on creativity to our Meadowlark students and community. So we look forward to tonight's presentation. And with that, Mr. Jorgensen and board, this concludes my report for the evening. Thank you.
COVID-19 reports, Dr. Zahakian.
Thank you. I'd like to start off by thanking Ms. Carrie Wright once again, our district nurse, for being everything to the district when it comes to health and wellness. So thank you, Ms. Carrie. But in addition, she was a guest speaker at a last Tuesday talk with the superintendent, which was just this past Tuesday. We had a good participation rate and a very robust discussion, which involved a Q&A session revolving around health and wellness protocols and updates from LA County DPH. We covered areas such as recent lift of the masking mandate outdoors, quarantining guidelines, as well as a robust discussion around masking indoors. And thank you, participants and community and parents who participated. We did all agree upon the idea that the tolerance level of wearing masks for both adults and children is wearing thin. However, we did need to reiterate the fact that the indoor masking mandate has not been lifted yet, along with a delivery of instruction that still remains in person or long-term independent study as outlined by AB 130. So again, thank you to our parents and community members who participated Tuesday. Tonight, I'd like to share district-specific stats at this time covering the past 6 weeks. So thank you, Chrissy and Carrie, for the data. Our district's testing positivity rate on January 7th was at 28%. The test positivity rate on February 4th was 20%. As of last week, the week of February 14th, it was at 4%. We sincerely hope these numbers will continue to decrease as we move forward. Following the LA County Department of Public Health orders, our district lifted the outdoor masking requirement for students and staff on February 16th. On February 16th, it was the 7th consecutive day the number of COVID-19 positive patients in LA County remained below 2,500, which was the benchmark metric set by LA County DPH to lift the outdoor masking mandate. As shared, indoor masking at TK through 12 schools is still a state of California LA County Department of Public Health requirement. The indoor masking rule will remain in place for LA County until the county's virus transmission rate falls to the moderate level as defined by the US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and if it stays there for 2 weeks. Per LA County DPH, the county's rate is declining, and at its current pace, the moderate level metrics could possibly be met by the end of March. The California DPH officials will be meeting with county departments of public health on February 28th, which is Monday, to review the metrics. Thank you. This concludes the COVID report for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Zaki. F, submissions. Are there any submissions today?
No, sir, no submissions. Thank you.
None. Okay. 8, board comments. Ms. Jensen is absent. She's out of district right tonight, so we'll start with Mr. Colesgrove.
Thank you. I attended a couple of meetings on behalf of the board. The last February meeting the topic was diversity, equity, inclusion, and unconscious bias, which is ongoing in their theme this year for Los Angeles County School Trustees Association, theme of healthy social environments on our campuses. I attended the February Antelope Valley SELPA Community Advisory Committee meeting as a SPED parent. I have attended these meetings for years, and unfortunately, many of the meetings are taken up with tales of woe from parents who meet resistance or have obstacles that hamper access to entitlements and supports their children qualify under state and federal law. At these meetings, it's very, very disheartening to hear an entire school district trashed by one parent because somebody doesn't know how to communicate or doesn't understand the law or have realistic expectations. Or worse yet, as a SPED parent myself, need to have somebody to blame because their child is the individual that they are. That's the most disheartening thing for me. At this particular meetings, attendees learned about mindful civility tools and how to use them appropriately to advocate and navigate in schools on behalf of their children without aggression. So not being an aggressive parent and trying to work with staff and kind of understanding what the limitations of certain districts are based on the demographic is a good place to start. I do have a suggestion for the board. If it's necessary, I'll bring it up under future agenda items. Last meeting, we might remember Pam Walter spoke to us. She is a longtime Acton resident, a business professional, and member of the Acton Town Council. She spent almost the entirety of her 3 minutes talking about what were basically public service announcements. The first being a trail study that was put on by Cal Poly students working on their masters in planning and land development. And what they were basically doing for free to this community is to spot and spatially develop all of our trails that exist, as well as to take on some ideas about how those could be enhanced or expanded or hooked together. And whether you know that or not, the things that are valuable about our community, the things that we like to keep rural, those things happening and being planned and captured and put on maps and recognized by the county are the first step in defense of somebody plowing something through here that we don't want. And that way, kids doing that and coming here and giving those kinds of efforts stop us from putting up fake cemeteries and stuff like that to keep people out of our community that we don't want their projects. Anyway, I would not have known about that if Pam hadn't stood up here and told us. Next, Pam reminded us that the final CEQA document for high-speed rail and the details on how the train is going to come through here is going to be released soon, and there's a very limited amount of time to comment. Now, in my background, I have oil field drilling holes that are 18,000 feet deep in Texas and things, and I know that when you drill something out of the ground, something comes out, and typically there's a reason why it's 18,000 feet down, and it's not something that's good for us. What my concern has always been is, in my professional career at work, I am part of the team that monitors the metro line that's coming through Beverly Hills and out that way. And they got these giant machines that drill things, and it's easy for a contractor to pull the tailings out. Let's call it tailings, like mining tailings, whatever they don't want. And that stuff is not magical dust, and it's not good for you. And I think that when it surfaces, I really don't believe that somebody's going to drive 20 miles back that way or 20 miles that way. They're going to surface it through a vent out here, and it's going to go into the air. And I'm pretty familiar with what seismic monitoring and dust particulate modeling are. So on behalf of this district, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to advocate those meetings. I do not want our kids breathing that stuff because this ain't gonna help. That's all I'm gonna give you on that. These will not help lead and God knows what else is under there. So, but the point here is Pam would not, without that, I wouldn't have known about this thing. So I don't want people, their time taken away, even if it's to chew me out. I don't want their time taken away making community announcements that benefit the entire community and then be cut off on something. I think she had something else to say and I wish I would have heard it. So my suggestion is this: the superintendent, in the report you heard, the series of reports he just gave about COVID and spotlight, that there be a spot put in there for community-minded announcements. I don't want politics. I don't want people running their campaigns. I just want, if you have an announcement about something that's going to benefit the taxpayers and the educational community in this town, I would really like for there to be a means to, at the superintendent's discretion, just read those into the record and let people speak. There, I should spend 10 minutes on something that should have took 2. Okay, I want to thank the community members and parents that attended the Tuesday virtual meeting with the superintendent. That should be on your calendar. Every month, the superintendent meets with the community virtually, and it's an open meeting. There's an agenda, there's guests. You get to know your district. It's reminiscent of the PTSO effort a couple years ago, where district employees, you get to see their face, you get to hear what they do. And in that meeting, as a public employee, I find that there's accountability. If you know who somebody is and what they're responsible for, you can hold them accountable. So that's one way the superintendent communicates. Carrie, you did a great job. I don't envy your position. I live all this at work. But what was most impressive to me is that the attendees that spoke into the record at the meeting were civil, they were clear. Their candor was very clear but it was a very civil meeting. And Superintendent, I appreciate the way you characterized what the attendees had to say, because you captured that these things are not popular, and thank you for trying not to sugarcoat that. Okay, as a board member, sometimes I listen to the news. I hate to listen to the news. But the past couple mornings, I'm hearing about school administrators being handcuffed and marched out in front of students at schools because the administrators are held responsible for failure to report certain child abuse issues of one extent or another. One happened in Texas, one happened 50 miles from here. And it's a string of these things. And I want you to think about how many school administrators there are in this country. There are literally hundreds of thousands of them, and they're not hiding things, and they're not worried about, well, if I let this out, somebody's gonna figure that I wasn't watching the perpetrator who was actually doing this stuff, and sugarcoating the stuff and hiding it is not appropriate. Little things like this tarnish the reputations of professions. So if you see something, say something. It takes a great deal of courage. I talked a little bit about last time about what my life was like and what was going on when I was 5 or 6 years old, and it wasn't pretty, and how an art teacher came to my house to make sure I was okay. But guys, you are mandatory reporters. If you see something, say something, and be cognizant of your behaviors, the words you say to kids, the words you say to your coworkers, because you can damage careers and take faith and hope away from a little kid, and you certainly don't want to do that. I don't see any issues like this in our community. Thank God for that. And I have a staff that I'm very proud of. I would one more time hope that everybody in this room would clap for our medical providers here in the district. That's all I have.
First, Miss Maddie and Phoenix, I know it's hard to get up in front of people and speak, and you guys did a great job. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for having the guts. Thank you for having the guts to get up and do what you did. I know that's not easy and you guys are awesome. So thank you. And it is really nice to see a full audience, even if it's for contentious reasons. It's really nice to see whatever reason brings you to the board meeting. I thank you for being here and I thank you for taking time away from your home and your family and coming to share your thoughts and your feelings. So thank you, everybody that's here and everybody that was here and said what they had to say and went home and probably are on virtually, but it's very nice to see people in chairs here. So thank you very much for coming. 2 Fridays ago, I had the day off work. So I spent my day off visiting our school campuses. I had a great day. I had an absolutely amazing day. I really wish that I could have spent an entire day at each campus. And unfortunately, they only gave me 1 day off and not 3. I was able to visit High Desert for their 7th and 8th grade awards. Their Medal of Honor presentation was incredible. Their awards were really awesome to see all those kids be honored. It was nice to walk around. I got to walk into every single classroom. I watched a Shark Tank presentation. They're doing Shark Tank there. And it's something like how the things that our teachers are bringing to their classrooms that we don't ever hear about here in a board meeting. And unless your kid is there and coming home and sharing with you what they're doing at school, you're not hearing it as parents either. The kids just, it's just school to them. I don't think that they understand how lucky they are to have the teachers that we have. So it was really incredible. So Michelle, thank you for walking me around your campus. I really appreciated it and had a good day. And then after that, I went to Vasquez High School. It always surprises me, and it shouldn't surprise me, but in all of the years that I've worked for the district, it surprises me how kind and genuine and how well-mannered our high school kids are. If you've ever walked on our high school campus, kids are outgoing. They say hello to you. They introduce themselves. They're really neat kids to walk around and intermix with and be a part of. I was able to go into their culinary class where they were cooking coconut shrimp and it looked delicious. So kudos to everything going on at Vasquez. I did not get to walk around with Mr. Murphy because he was in a class teaching all day. And then after that, I went to Meadowlark. I walked in on an ASMO class, which was so cute. They were up dancing and singing and having a blast. I walked into the cafeteria where I believe it was Mr. Phoenix that was up on stage singing a song, right? Was that you? It was really fun. I have no idea what was going on in the cafeteria, but it was engaged. Kids were just getting up and doing little performances on the stage during lunch, and it was so cool. And our Meadowlark office staff has the best office decor and most inviting office I've ever been in, with the flowers and lights and the smiles, and you guys are awesome. It was really awesome to walk around and talk to kids and staff at all of our schools. When I was at Vasquez, typically in times like these, people want to say the negative. And when you have a board member's ear, you're going to let them know, like, hey, this is going on. Hey, can we change this? Hey, just wanted to show you this. What I came across at Vasquez was very different. Just about every single staff member that I came in contact with, without prompting, without me asking, took it upon themselves to bring up to me how great it is to work with Dr. Murphy. They did mention how you get there early, how you stay late, how you are doing 2 full-time jobs, not just 2 full-time jobs, 2 incredibly difficult full-time jobs in the most difficult year in education. Teaching full-time and a full-time principal while still capturing students and still capturing your staff, that's incredible. So those connections that you're making and the strides that you're completing at Vasquez kudos to you, Dr. Murphy. Keep that up. So thank you so much. You're brand new here and you just jumped in with both feet and you're gung ho, and I appreciate you. And I hope we get you a teacher soon so you can just be an incredible principal and you don't need to be the incredible teacher. We need to get you an English teacher. But thank you for stepping into that role and doing an amazing job at both. So I just wanted to let you know that your staff had so many good things to say about you. So, and thank you for that. That's it. Oh,
Man. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here and attending tonight. To the littles that stood up and talked, takes a lot of guts to stand up there and look at a bunch of adults stare at you and try to get out what you have to say. And I hear you, and I understand the masks are no fun. I don't want to wear the mask any more than you do, and I can certainly understand the community outrage at the masking that we have going on. And I hope, Dr. Sayakin, you're listening to the community and you're coming up with some ideas of how to get us out of the mess, because everybody's looking at you. You're the leader of the district. And at the end of the day, everybody's looking at you. To Kit's point, I want to point out a couple of things though. You know, in your department, if you had to wear your mask, or when you are told to wear your mask, if you don't wear your mask, you get penalized, right? So if we don't wear a mask here, you don't? Okay. Well, and I know you're not enforcing it, but in our case, if we don't wear a mask, we do get penalized. We get penalized with funding. If they pull funding, then we can't have teachers. If they pull funding, we can't have programs. So it's this balance that we're all trying to walk right now so that we can keep funding and keep programs coming into our schools, yet bend the rules enough to where we can get rid of the masks. It's hard. It's a difficult situation for him to be in. It's hard for our teachers to be in that situation. Personally, if it were me, it's a personal choice thing. If you want to wear it, wear it. If you don't, don't. And that is what it should be. You're right. But we have certain rules we have to follow. And I'm sorry. I'm going to read your materials, I promise.
May I, and I know I already spoke, sir, if I may, my issue is that I understand the mandate and I understand that you're held to other accountabilities. I get that. My directed speech was directed towards the superintendent and leaving all these dedicated employees that have been your frontliners for the last couple of years with no plan.
I wholeheartedly agree with you on a lot of
What
that.
is the plan?
So he needs to come up with this plan. He needs to explain his plan. And that's been discussed, and hopefully he'll come up and explain more.
I appreciate it.
But I just want the community to know that the majority of us up here don't want masking. The majority of your teachers probably are okay with not having masking. But if that gets released, you know, what happens? Do we lose funding? Do we, you know, what is that? What's the repercussions of us losing funding? So at any rate, I hear you guys. I sympathize with you. Let's see what happens. Hopefully tomorrow, it's been in the news, the LA County's gonna relax the mask mandate. Hopefully that's some good news that comes. We'll see if that actually happens or not. Tomorrow will tell. I want to echo what Tracy Costin and Coach Sparks had to say about Dr. Murphy, and what Brianna had to say. There's not been enough good words about the work that you're doing. I know that in my career, if I had to go and drive a truck and not stay back in my office and manage the next day's activities and the weeks ahead of me activities, that a lot of things would get dropped on the day-to-day. So the fact that you're doing the two jobs and it's time intensive, I commend you for it. I appreciate it. And I hope that at some point in time, we can find you the help that you need sooner than later. Touching on another thing that Sparks said, you know, unity. We have to come together as a community. I've been saying that for the last year that I've been here. It's still divided. We still have this group here, and we have this group here, and we have this group over here. And everybody's kind of on their own path. Sometimes we link up together, sometimes we don't. Let's get together as a community and come up with solutions to our problems so that we can all have a better educational experience. It's not just one person's way. There's multiple ways to do something. Brainstorming, going to his coffee meetings and talking to him and giving him your ideas and your feedback, good or bad. He needs to hear it from the community. So I'll leave it at that. I just want the community to know I hear you about the masking. It's been a big topic of conversation this week, and let's hope we get past it sooner than later. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you all for coming up tonight. First thing I want to echo Coach Sparks. I hope Miss Lepp is, her medical treatments are going well and we can have her back on campus as soon as possible. Secondly, we had some very passionate speakers and I appreciate you bringing information to our attention. We hear that, we read that. I spend a lot of time during the week reading multiple documents on different things, but I really want to focus on the students and them taking the courage to come up here and sit here and address some adults sitting behind a big bench and telling us what you think, because that's why we're here, is for you. So thank you for coming and speaking to us. We all heard what you said and I appreciate it very much. I know on behalf of the board and the district. So I think about it, I said, man, that's the girl I want to have in my class that's going to tell me what she thinks. So you keep that attitude, you keep that growth process going forward as you go through your school. Teacher says something, you can speak up and say something as well. So keep that up. Thank you. So thank you to the students for taking the time to speak to us. Masks. Everybody wants to get rid of these. I wear my camel mask, so I don't have one on. I mean, I gotta spin it somehow. I look at it when I'm athletics. I think, okay, I had to wear a helmet when I played football. I didn't like it, but I wore it anyway. And it's temporary. I get that it's temporary. Dr. Sahaki is giving us reports. Our infectious rates, our exposure rates are coming down. And if everything goes well, I'm glad that we'll get these off. I taught health for 18 years over at the high school. And one of the biggest things that I recall is that we have to be able to communicate with each other. And the first place that people communicate is through facial expressions. And if we can't see their face, that's our first indication of how their day's going. Are they happy? Are they sad? Do they have a question? Are they excited about something? And as educators, we do this with students all the time. We can do body language, we can do gestures, we can do facial expressions, but we can't see the face, and that's huge. It slows the process down and makes it, we have to be more creative how we interact with our students. So that's on the forefront to get rid of these masks. But we're sacrificing, we're working with it, we're all doing our best to get past it. I'm congratulatory to all of our parents and students and everybody putting up with all the hassles that we've had to put up with, that hopefully the March 31st is a deadline, a benchmark. We're going to have to hold the county's feet to the fire on that they can lift these mandates. Because when I travel around the university and other high schools in the Antelope Valley and Santa Clarita, and I look at the different students and the mask mandates and the way that they're handling it on their different campuses, and I often wonder, how are they dealing with this? They have the same rules that we have. So how is it that they're dealing with this and the process? Well, I'm a rules person. And I know that if I collectively bring everybody together and we work hard to do our job, then we get past the mess that we're in and we can get rid of these masks. And then we can have a big display of all the fancy masks that we wore throughout the period. It's not a drudge, it's something that can be kind of fun. I remember going to Meadowlark and I got out of the truck and I sat there, when the students were coming back, and this one student turned around and I lost it. I couldn't stop laughing. He had such a creative mask on and he was shocked. Why was I laughing? I mean, it was just the process of making it not a drudgery thing. It's something that I'm going to contribute to the success of getting rid of them. So I appreciate everybody's hard work on that. And I'm hopeful, Dr. Zaki, and that hopefully at the March 10th meeting or the one that after that, the last part of March, that we'll have some good news. Then we can say that the indoor mask mandates in our classrooms are gone. So we'll get rid of those as soon as possible. Next item, staff support. I say it every time. I say it all the time. I say it everywhere I go. I'm totally committed to Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District. I'm a Mustang Purple all the time. My whole career was at the high school. Everywhere I go, I talk about Mustangs. And now I see the hard work that's happening at the Hawks and the Meadowlarks. And hopefully we'll have a new principal later today so she can go right straight to work and not go home. That we expect that we're going to be able to, we are a unique community. I get that. I moved here in 2000 and I haven't left. I grew up in the Santa Clarita Valley and I came here, one small community to another small community. And I know the value of that and the importance of neighborhood and working together. And it's been a privilege for me to be teaching and working at the school. It's been a challenge to be on the school board, to be sure. Because lots of times I see and say things and I hear things and I can't do anything about it. I can pass it on, I can discuss, I can collaborate with my board members, and we consensus come up to how we would like to move forward. But I realize that as Chad said, we are regulated by regulations coming from people who don't live here, from Sacramento, from LA County. We're dealing with a lot of balances. We have finances that everything is, it's not like I run my own business where I could do it. We have to take all these things into account, and it's really frustrating. We'd like to get rid of these as quickly as possible, but as I've always been and I've always will be, is that our first and only priority is I want to satisfy the needs of the students as quickly as possible, as safely as possible, and then everything else will fall into place. The COVID reports are encouraging. I'm glad to hear that they're coming down. I'm glad to hear that the rates are improving. And I want to, Dr. Zahaki, make sure that I'm going to be talking to you on multiple occasions between now and the 31st of March to make sure that LACO and the Department of Public Health, LA County Department of Public Health, is going to be able to work with us, and that we'll be able to lift these mask mandates by the end of March, if not sooner. I'm hopeful that that's going to be the case.
We're on calls with those two agencies on a weekly basis.
Okay, that's very good. So they need to know us by our first name, last name, middle name, because we're not LA Unified. We're not the big school districts. We're a small, unique district, and we have, our students are more important than the students down there, though all students are important. I get that. Anyway, thank you all for your comments tonight and your presentations. I appreciate those. We got, as an educator, I read all the time. I get information all the time, and I want to dissect as much as I can, understand it to the best of my ability. So I appreciate it. And again, thank you to the students for taking the time to speak to us tonight. Your mom just says you don't have to do homework because you did that tonight. So. No, I didn't say that, Mom. Okay. All right, here we go. Number 9.
Tim, can I add one more thing?
Yes.
Adding to my comments. I am a public school employee. I work for a large district. I work at a junior high school. I am a member of the California School Employees Association, just like all of our classified staff. At no point have I ever been told that it is my job or in my job description to enforce a mask mandate. It is not my job to enforce mask mandates on my campus. So it is not part of my union rules. It is not part of my district rules. We have all been told what we're supposed to do. I have been told I have to wear a mask. My boss has not been told that he has to enforce me wearing a mask. I've been told that I have to wear a mask by the state. It is not my job as a classified employee on my campus to enforce a mask mandate. It's nowhere written in my job description to enforce a mask mandate.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson, Brianna. All right, number 9, consent agenda. The consent agenda is item 8C. 8A, and it includes items 8A through C. 8B is the minutes from the regular board meeting of 2/10 of 22, and 8C is the warrant register. Do I have a motion to?
I'll move this in.
Ken
I'll
move.
second.
Ken, Brianna. Dr. Zahkian.
No comments regarding the warrant register, Mr.
Board-
Jorgensen, thank you.
Board member discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Walker, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, I. Miss Jensen is absent, 401. 10, personnel pupil services, personnel action report. Do I have a motion to open?
I'll move it in.
Chad moves,
Chad will second.
Chad seconds, Dr. Hawkins.
On the PAR report, of course, today, part of the superintendent report, we're proud to have as certificated employee Nicole Moynihan as principal of Meadowlark, effective date, if approved, March 1st, 2022.
I have comments.
Board discussion.
My understanding is E. Miller is on the personnel action report. Is that correct?
That's correct.
E. Miller has been a fixture of High Desert for years and years. The entire time I've lived in this town, I can't let this go without E. Miller. Thank you for your service to literally thousands of students in this district. Next, I believe Nancy Fox is on the personnel action report.
Correct.
You'll get two out of, this is the second one of me tonight. I have known Nancy Fox as a parent, as a volunteer, and a district employee. If there was anyone who I've seen act professionally at all times and appropriate at all times, it is Nancy Fox. Nancy Fox, thank you for your service to the district, and thank you for being one of the most respectful, civil people I have ever met in my life. Thank you. That's it.
I'm gonna second what Ken said. Liz Miller has been a staple at our school. As a math teacher and as an art teacher, the passion that she brought to her classroom is going to be truly missed. And I know it was not, she's not ready to resign yet. And so I am incredibly sorry to see her go, as I know she is sorry to go. And she takes with her all of her art knowledge that my children absolutely loved, and she instilled a passion of art for them. So Liz, I thank you for what you've done for my kids and for kids as a whole at High Desert. You're going to be missed. Mr. Miller, you've only been an employee for a short time, but you have been a presence at our schools. And I know that in your short time here, you've made a huge difference at Vasquez. So thank you for your time. And I know you would stay if it was your choice. So, and Miss Nancy Fox, you are an incredible human being, as Ken said. So thank you for everything that you've given to our district. And we are so sad to see you go.
Just want to say thanks to E. Miller. You touched both of my kids in their years through High Desert. So I appreciate you taking the time with them to teach them and help them along their way in their journey. And that's all I have to add.
Yeah, just echoing Mrs. Miller. I've known her many years, but my years with Vasquez working at the Teachers Association and all their contributions to professional development, working hard with the students at High Desert. Thank you for your service. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none, call the question.
Ballsgraph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 4-0-1. I'd like to offer any, is our new principal going to come up and introduce herself?
We'll leave that option for Ms. Moynihan, if she wants to do the honors.
As a senior board member, I would suggest you might step up to the microphone right now. Every little kid in this town is hoping on you.
And these two kids here, this is going to be the.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm really, really excited to be the principal of Meadowlark, and thank you for having me.
Board member comment?
My understanding is you know special education.
I do. I know.
God, I hope so. Thank you.
Very good. Well.
Remember, did you text Katie yet? Okay. I want a full report on that. She doing okay now?
Yes, she's doing fantastic.
Of course she is. Next.
We're excited to have you get in there and get started. And something that our district desperately needs is longevity in our principals and longevity in our staff. So you are the newest principal, but you're not the newest by far. We have 3 brand new principals. I welcome you and I'm excited to have you. And I really, really, really hope you're here for the long haul because that's what our schools need. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you, and that's my hope as well.
Awesome. That's perfect.
Just want to welcome you. It's great to see you here. Echo what Brianna just said as far as longevity would be great. And then I'll just get the warning of, parents, they're ruthless in this town. So be careful. It's a rough crowd out there. Okay.
So may I, is the gentleman in the back here, is he related to you?
He is my husband, and he came to support me tonight.
Oh, okay, so he's not security. Okay. just- But I want to welcome you, Ms. Moynihan, and it's an exciting. Meadowlark is a California Distinguished School, and we're going to be honoring High Desert later on this month. But so you're walking into a gem with some terrific students and some very supportive parents. It's just great. You have kids there, and I'm going to age myself here. There are students there at that school. Their parents were my students at the high school. So that tells you the turnaround that they want to bring their kids back to is Meadowlark. So you have that reinvestment in the opportunity. So thank you. And I have the shortcut. This is a shortcut to, no, I'm just kidding. This is the shortcut to Meadowlark. You can go right out this door, turn left, and the door's open. You can go right back to work. So thank you very much for being here and welcome aboard.
Thank you for having me.
10B, agreement for consultant services with Bambi Ballesteros, not to exceed. But not to exceed 31,000. Do I have a motion to
I'll move.
Ken? Second,
I'll second.
Brianna, Dr. Salakia.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. The agreement for consultant services, specifically as a counselor, will be providing individual counseling, small group counseling services to help supplement what our wonderful counseling team already does for our district and for our students. And this shall be effective approved through the end of this fiscal year, June 30th, 2022, with one-time funds. Thank you.
Board member discussion?
Is this ESSER funds?
Correct.
We're not making any contributions on STRS and PERS and PARS and everything on this?
Correct.
And this has a known end date?
Yes,
So come August, whatever, we're not going to be going, oh, the district office and the board pulled counseling services away from the district?
no.
Does everybody
explicitly
understand what I
stated
just asked?
June 30th. Thank you.
Good. Does this person's an independent contractor?
Correct.
Are they licensed?
Yes.
Do they have any complaints on the record?
HR? Wonderful, Ms. Shaw. Her answer is no.
Do they know proper conduct with third-party customers or students? Do our employees understand how to interact with a third-party consultant?
Yes.
Good, okay, I'm done.
Any others? Okay, hearing none, call the question.
Ballsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Ms. Jensen is absent, 401. 10C, tentative agreement for successor agreement negotiations for 2021-2022 school year between the California School Employees Association and Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District. Motion to discuss, please. I'll move.
I'll second.
Brianna. Dr. Salakia.
Thank you. The tentative agreement for successor agreement negotiations for this fiscal year 21-22 with CSEA and our district. Some of the highlights in the articles include, of course, salary. Just going to mention some of the highlights, but the documentation has been posted on the website for review. Salary, 4% increase effective July 1st, 2021, so retroactive. Holiday compensation, just a new addition of Juneteenth, now is included in the agreement. Professional growth stipend increased to $300 per year for each 12 semester units earned in a district approved college course. Employee benefits, again, a highlight. Employer contribution has been increased by $250 as part of our employer contributions. Thank you.
Board member discussion?
Mr. Mirza. California has requirements about sunshining long-term impacts, the AB 20 series bills. Does this require two separate public sunshine hearings before we vote on it?
1200?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Is this the third meeting we've had about this? How long has the information been posted?
It's been posted for over 10 days at the.
Perfect. So I'll assume that we're not going to be put in a position to have another one of these brought up here.
No.
Thank you. Next question I have is, there's talk out there about 59% reserves. We all know where that came from. That come from the charters that didn't come back with a lawsuit and decided not to come forward. Would you agree with that generally?
Yes.
You would agree that our ADA is sinking and it's not going up?
We're projecting a decline in our enrollment.
Correct. So, and I'm gonna ask you again this question when we get done with the other negotiations, and I'm not going to be accused of bargaining bad faith, but is this going to escalate the burning of reserves to the point where we're seeing our fiscal budget change, or the label the county gives us of either negative certification or qualified? You don't see that happening in this year or the next 2 years?
No.
Thank you.
I have no comment.
Dr. Zotkin, did that letter that we received, is that part of this?
That's a separate agenda item.
Okay,
Maybe
okay,
1200, but thank you for asking.
Okay, no further discussion, call the question.
Falls Grab, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Ms. Jensen is absent for 01. 10D. Memorandum of Understanding between California School Employees Association and its Acton Agua Dulce Chapter number 473 and the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District. Motion to discuss.
Gotta move it in.
Chad,
I'll second.
Brianna, Dr. Zahakia.
Thank you. For this MOU, all bargaining unit members who are eligible in accordance with Ed Code 45203 shall retroactively be provided Juneteenth holiday for the 2021 school year as follows. Unit members who worked on June 18th, 21, one time only, shall receive one additional floating holiday. Unit members, CSEA of course, who did not work on June 18th, 21 due to leave, shall have their leave balance reinstated. That's the highlight. Thank you.
Board member discussion.
Yeah, June 19th is a very important day to me. I see some agencies just deciding, well, we'll pay our employees, and that can be so, I'll be as politically correct as I can about this. It is just socially not appropriate. It is a holiday. If you're going to work, I don't want people working on that holiday. Do you hear me? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? It's a valid holiday. We don't work that day. Thank you.
No further discussion, call the question.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Ms. Jensen is absent for 01. 10E. Memorandum of Understanding between Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District and the California Employees Association and Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District. We have a motion to open. I'll move.
I'll second.
Brianna, Dr. Zaki,
Thank you. This MOU, the highlight between district and CSEA, a 5-day notice period reference in article in, I'm sorry, section 10.48 shall be changed to 3 days for 22-23 and 23-24 school years. And this MOU in particular shall expire on June 30th, 24. Thank you.
board member discussion.
Is this basically bringing in temporary work to fill positions that are typically association? Good, thank you.
No further discussion, call the question.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Ms. Jensen is absent, 401. 10F, memorandum of understanding between the California School Employees Association and its Acton Agua Dulce unit number 473 and Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District. Motion to open.
I'll motion.
Brianna,
Chad will second.
Chad, Dr. Zahakia.
Thank you, President Jorgensen. CSA unit members who do not participate in district's health insurance coverage during 21-22 school year and are in a paid status on February 24th shall be paid a one-time stipend. And it's based on increments of service. Examples include 10+ years of service, $500, 6 through 10 years, 400, 3 to 6, 250, 1 to 3 years, 150, 0 to 1 years, 100. Thank you.
Board member discussion.
There's no significant financial impact long-term here. Thank you.
Hearing no further, call the question.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Ms. Jensen is absent, 401. 11, business services. 11A, camera agreement with National Federation High School Network. Motion to move, motion to open.
Chad will move it in.
Chad,
I'll second.
Brianna, Dr. Zahakian.
On February 10th, we had a formal presentation to the board as well as the community from the vendor itself, and we had a robust Q&A session. And tonight, we're bringing this back as an action item. Thank you.
Board member discussion.
Can you pull the contract up, please? Can someone read into the record what the date on the contract is?
2/24/2022.
That would be today. Imagine that. Can you go to the last page, the signature page, please? Let's look at these, where the signatures go. We see that the gentleman that spoke to us and answered our questions has signed it. I would expect that. Could you go through by the signatures and not by name, but by title? Tell me how these will, each of the signature lines will be populated.
Rebecca. So the signature page right there would either be myself or the superintendent who are the authorized signers of the school district. So if our superintendent wants to sign it, he'll sign it. If I need to sign it, I'll sign it on his behalf.
So kind of the signatures that we vote on that authorize people to legally sign for the district for contracts and negotiations alike. Thank you. Next,
That's the
primary contact. What position will be filled into that slot there?
The primary contact for this would be our principal at the school site, and also our IT coordinators would be listed on there. If there's any malfunction.
Perfect. Is this contract, is my understanding, is with the school district and not one of its subsets. So what I would hope, and I can't give this direction, but what I would hope is that when it comes to the financing, I noticed that from the first rendition of the contract that never existed, there had been a change into how things were going to be. In other words, the money that would come to the school was sped up a bit in terms of years. So it would be my hope that you would get with the site councils, the representatives from site councils, and determine amicably how this money is split across the district. That would be my hope. Little kids need money too. Finally, I want to read something into the record. I had a lot of questions last time. There's some legal aspect to what I do. I want to read this into the record. In yesterday's issue, I received this on February 8th, 2022. It was addressed to our superintendent. It went to all board members. In yesterday's issue of the Acton Agua Dulce News, I read Tracy Costan's article about NFHS, which is this contract, seeking exclusive rights to athletic content collected by cameras installed free on the campus. Giving exclusive rights to stream school athletic events would harm our ability to report and distribute local news to the community of Acton and Agua Dulce. As you know already, our publications online and in print have successfully broadcast local school news since 1981, over 40 years. Please do not cut us off from telling the magnificent stories of our students, teachers, coaches, and parents online and in print. Giving exclusive rights to NFHS doesn't make sense. If NHFS gave half of their revenue from advertising and paid subscriptions to AAD USD, there might be some justification for granting them shared broadcast rights, but never exclusive rights to local news. Thank you for your continued protection of our local students. Sincerely, Gail Joyce, editor of the Acton Agua Dulce News and Acton Agua Dulce e-News. If everyone remembers right, at the last meeting, I asked ad nauseum questions about whether or not a parent or a grandparent or somebody could take a camera and film and send it to somebody, use it on the school website, or even if someone in a local newspaper could, short of selling subscriptions to sports games, film things without the mattress tag police of whoever these people are flying in to take legal action against them. And correct me if I'm wrong, it was very clear that there was no intent on the part of the company doing this to prohibit our local newspapers, our parents, our grandparents, or anybody else who wanted to film the thing from doing that. Is that everyone's recollection? Good, I wanted to make that very clear. If I see legal action out of these people, I'll move to immediately yank the cameras out. This is a very simple process. When you bring things to the board, like they wanted to redo the cameras at High Desert. So you bring it to the board, it becomes very easy. Now, the one question I want to ask Superintendent is it your recommendation to provide these cameras to the parents and students who have petitioned the school board for them? Is it your recommendation?
Yes.
Thank you.
May we restate that question again?
Is it the superintendent's recommendation to sign this contract and have cameras installed in our gyms? Now, I don't want to go down the path again. If you come into our school, I don't care who you are, I don't care how big you are, you're going to sign into the Raptor system. We're going to run a background check on you. I don't think this company is coming out to put the cameras in. I think they're going to send subcontractors. They need to hold the district additionally insured. I'm assuming that's going to take place, even though I don't see this here. I asked the rep, are you going to name the district additionally insured? Are you going to hold the district harmless? And thank you for being honest about the Norman, Oklahoma case, which is very, very disturbing, but he gave us an honest answer. If I were sitting near the score booth or in the score booth, I certainly wouldn't be making racist comments or other things that I wouldn't want my grandmother to hear. So all that aside, is it the superintendent's recommendation, because there are parents and students who find this valuable, is it your recommendation to us that we should approve this?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Brianna.
I have a couple questions for Dr. Green. Our distinguished business superintendent, assistant superintendent. So in relationship to the cameras, it was originally, it manifested itself as a fundraising opportunity for schools to generate funds for their athletic programs by streaming subscriptions to interested parties, mainly parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, whatever. They buy a subscription to it, and then a portion of that fee is sent back to the school district, correct?
Yes.
Right. Now, in my questioning with the representative at the prior board meeting, I had a question with regards to Huddle. And Huddle it's been a long-term one that's been around since like 2009 or 10, where programs, and principally football, where there is a requirement to exchange films week to week to week over your 10-week schedule. And if you're fortunate enough to have a team that makes it to playoffs, CIF says, okay, now you have to show your opponent 4 games. So I asked him if this could be done. So these cameras will record the game. Those recordings of the games can be downloaded because the school controls the footage, correct?
Yes.
Right. So the coach, let's take football because that's the primary user of film exchange, that they can download their particular game to Huddle, use it as a training and instructional tool for the athletes, and satisfy the exchange requirement to the next opponent coming in next week, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad we got over that hurdle because now that works for me. Now, the other question is there was a recommendation that if this measure is approved, that we will have some stock signage at each one of where the cameras are installed at the entry points, alerting spectators that this game is being recorded, National Federation of High School, whatever the terminology it is, appropriately, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I know Mr. Fallsgrass asked about revenue sharing. The revenue that's generated from this is principally and almost exclusively from participants in athletic programs at the high school, correct?
The revenue that's generated is from the subscriptions.
It's from
Yes,
parents,
yes.
family members, grandma, grandpa, aunts and uncles from wherever. They will pay an annual or a monthly fee, depending on their student or child's participation and the willingness. I probably will sign up because I want to watch. But I mean, they will have that revenue, a portion of that, and Ken, Mr. Fallsgraff is correct. The contract that didn't exist to the one that we see here, the revenue sharing was going to happen in year 1.
Yes, initially it was year 3, but they waived that. And so we'll get the revenue
Very
sharing
good.
immediately.
So that's on the contract that never
Yes.
existed. Can we move on?
So
I'm gonna
no, I'm
point
not
of
gonna-
order,
Hold on, Mr.
point of
Fallsgraff.
order,
Hold on.
point of order.
Hold
point of
on just a
order.
moment. Let me finish, Mr. Fallsgraff.
Okay, don't get in trouble.
I'm not. So the revenue sharing, when it comes to the revenue sharing, that the parents that sign up for it expect that revenue, I would assume is going to come back to the program, which they signed up to watch, correct?
The
Right.
revenue sharing, yes.
Point of
Football,
order,
soccer,
point of order.
basketball.
Point of order.
Okay, so
I'm fixing to
as you
go sit
work
out in
through the
the
revenue
audience.
sharing process, you'll take into account all that as you do that recommendations going forward, correct? Okay, thank you.
So point of order.
Mr. Volz.
The board is not gonna sit here. I'm not gonna pick out my favorite basketball team or my favorite football team and direct staff. What I suggested is that staff reach out to the site councils and get their recommendations and bring forward something as necessary to the board. We set policy, we listen to what the superintendent says. I'm not going to advocate for any certain group or whatever. I'm just saying this contract is with the school district. And I am not going to give you direction, and neither will anyone else. If you want my vote on this, we won't be doing that. My suggestion was take it to the site councils, ask them. If they say, yeah, give it all to Tim's favorite team, I'm great with that. But until then, I'm just voting on making sure that the agreement is in the right place, that we're not subjecting ourselves to liabilities. That's what we do up here. If anyone has any questions about that. Thank you for your patience, Tim. Now cuss me, you get last word.
Call the question.
Aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Ms. Jensen is absent 4-0.
Wasn't that easy?
11B, Makerspace Contractor Agreement with NPLE. This is an information item. Dr. Zahaki, motion to, do we have to motion to discuss for? Do we have to move it to discuss? Move to discuss, please.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is listed as an action.
Okay, so I have a motion to open,
Yes.
please.
Chad moves.
I'll second.
Chad, Brianna, Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. Earlier, share with the community and educational partners a brief overview of innovative lab, an innovative classroom, i.e. Makerspace, earlier tonight. So thank you for that. Tonight we have a brief presentation from the contractor. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Mirza so he could do the honors of introducing our speaker who will join us virtually. Thank you.
Yes, good evening. We have Jaime Ortiz from our contractor. I believe he's online and he's going to do a short presentation on the Makerspace.
Good evening, members of the board. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Well, good evening, President Jorgensen, Dr. Shahakian, and public. My name is Jaime Ortiz. I wanted to share with you a brief presentation on makerspaces and the project up for your approval for Meadowlark School. So we want to talk about some makerspaces examples, some examples that we've done of other projects in a neighboring district for we call them future learning environments, what the scope at Meadowlark would be if you would approve it, and a brief schedule on the work to be done. So just briefly on HPLE, we are our mission is really to increase student performance through better learning environments. We focus on building components that research has shown improve student performance, things like acoustics, thermal comfort, indoor air quality, and the things you see around in the screen. We've had experience, we've been blessed in doing several makerspaces over the years. Makerspaces, for those of you that aren't familiar with the term, there is space for students to take what they're doing in their classrooms, what they're learning about in their classrooms, and go to this type of laboratory to build whatever what they're learning about, to build it with their hands, to collaborate with their peers, to communicate, to think critically, to be creative, to problem solve. All these things that you need in a project-based, all these skills that you need for project-based learning. This space is meant to be messy, to be used, to be students to be working with each other, to be collaborating. So these are just some examples of innovation labs or makerspaces. Every district calls it somewhat a little bit differently for that we've done for other school districts. They usually look like no other space on campus. They're purposefully meant to be interesting. They're meant to draw the students in to make them want to be there. Again, these are just some examples of what they do. They usually have floor to ceiling whiteboards so that students can brainstorm with each other. And the reason we do it floor to ceiling is that we want students to go up to them and feel free to draw, to work with each other independently of their height. You know, these spaces are for kindergartners all the way up to 8th graders. So again, just some samples. They usually have some sort of electronics in the room, and the types of tables are on wheels. Everything is usually on casters, so that they could be moved around or rearranged based on whatever the students are going to be doing in the classroom for that day. So these are the maker spaces that we've done with other districts. And we had the good fortune of having Dr. Shahakian and Mr. Mirza visit us at one of the other districts. And we also walked what we call future learning environments. And what those are we took portables or modular buildings, and we completely modernized them on the inside. These were 20, 30-year-old modular buildings, completely gutted them and redesigned them, rethought, re-envisioned them, and turned them into these types of spaces. So when Mr. Mirza and Dr. Shahakian and the other leadership team that accompanied them on the visit, you know, they were very interested in these types of spaces, especially since, you know, most school districts have a lot of these on every campus. And this is a scope that we can do fairly quickly. The design isn't extremely complicated, and we can do in a short period of time. So again, these are just some samples of the future learning environments. And what we wanted to do is kind of merge both maker spaces and future learning environments into one. And Mr. Mirza invited me to visit Meadowlark. We looked at room 415, which is this yellow modular building on the corner here. And it seems like it's a good candidate to transform it into a maker space on the campus. What we do is just briefly going through the process. Usually, because we've done maybe 60, 70 of these, we've kind of worked out the kinks in the process. There are some certain long lead items that the district usually would want to buy up front. That has two benefits. One, we can order it sooner and have it delivered on site as soon as possible. Secondly, you don't pay the contractor markups on these materials. So that's obviously helpful. And then we go in, we completely demo the interior of the space. Here's just some examples. Then we start installing the new finishes around the perimeter of the room. Here's just some examples of that happening. And then we do the carpet. In this case, because it's a makerspace, we would want to do a hard surface so that if things are dropped or things get messy, it could be easily cleaned up. And we also visited this space with Mr. Mora when we visited the site. And that was a comment that he was appreciative of. And, you know, just kind of walking you through what that process looks like. Ultimately, we end up painting the room on the outside, and just some example of what they end up looking like. And lastly, we install the new furniture on the in the room. And these rooms weren't necessarily made. The picture here wasn't necessarily a makerspace. It was more geared toward being a classroom. So obviously the furniture would be different for a makerspace application. When we talked with Mr. Mirza and Dr. Shahanikan, we want to do this as quickly as possible in terms of schedule. We would follow this general guideline of activities, dedicate March to the design process. We would want to order the long lead time items in April, go through the bidding process for the contractor and have a contractor bid the project, ultimately bring it back to the board early to mid-May for work over the summer. And then these would be some of the initial activities we would do with the user groups and with the district in terms of, selecting what types of color schemes they would want the room to look like and use, and we would use that color scheme kind of throughout, including the furniture and everything that goes into the space. So with that, I know I had a short period of time. I wanted to be as brief as possible. We'd be happy to entertain any questions anybody might have.
Board member discussion.
Comments for staff or questions for staff. This is not the same company that did the makerspace at High Desert. Is that correct? So does that mean that we're kind of looking at competitive bidding and making sure somebody doesn't get comfortable with taking all of our money all the time?
Correct.
Is this a piggyback agreement with another pricing structure? Okay, these are staff questions, sir. Thank you. Is this inclusive of the design and the materials that will go in the room only, or does it include the anticipated construction costs as well?
The construction cost.
So this is turnkey.
Correct.
So the cost estimate is $150,000. Is that correct?
That's an estimate, correct.
Okay, so vendor, turn your microphone off. I don't want you to hear this. Is there a contingency built into this? Don't tell them what it is. Yes or no? Good. Okay, thank you. I'm done. Yeah, no cost extras right away. First day, thanks. I do this for a living.
We do have a makerspace on our campus, and the first time I saw it, like he said, my jaw dropped. So I don't have questions. I'm just excited that our students can potentially have the same.
Is HPLE, are you guys acting as like the general contractor and then you bid it out to your subs?
No, we are in this case, we'll help with the design. We are the project and construction manager. We would prepare the documents so that the district is able to competitively bid the drawings to the contractor community.
So you're essentially like the architect of the job.
And construction manager, yes.
What's the, do you guys have a base percentage that you guys put out there, say 25 or 30% for that service?
12%.
How much?
12.
12%. All right, I just want to make sure the job's adequately bid out for that building and what's in there. That number seems a little excessive to me, given my construction background. So just make sure we're bidding it out correctly and getting competitive numbers, please. That's all I have. Thank you.
President, before you make your final comment, I'm confused. What are we bidding? Are we bidding the construction?
We are bidding the construction, yes.
So what is the engineer's estimate of the final cost of this project? It can't be 150 then.
Yes, it is.
So I'm not understanding what we're bidding. this company is not the general contractor, is that correct? I understand that, but you just asked, are they serving as a function of the general contractor? I believe the answer was no. So how can we ensure the price of the bidding that will land us at 150,000 is my question, if this is not the general contractor that is going to ensure that the estimates are going to come in. There's a reason I'm asking for this. There's supply chain shortages right now. You know that, right? Yeah. So describe the process for me. These people are going to take a building that we own already, that I would hope has DSA approval. Please check that on that unit before you look at any of the other ones. And then they're going to come in, look at it. We're going to do some things. So we're going to buy our own materials in some cases. I like that. Look ahead. They're going to come in, gut it, and install the stuff that makes it a usable state-of-the-art learning space.
Yes.
So all that's going to happen for estimate $150,000.
Yes.
And you've got a certain amount of contingency built into that in case it goes over,
Yes.
without telling him what it is. Okay,
Yes.
I'm clear. Thanks.
And how are we paying for this?
One time.
ESSER funds? It's not coming out of our standard budget.
No, it's not coming out of general fund.
It's all COVID money, essentially.
Expanding learning.
It
laws.
enhance expanding learning opportunities. Yes.
So it'll be okay if it comes in at 140.
I mean, it's an estimate. We're hoping it'll come under.
I mean, that's the objective, to meet our students' needs for less.
Yes.
Without sacrificing the quality. I don't have any questions. Any further questions? Call the question.
Fallsgrave, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Watson, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Ms. Jensen is absent 401. C, right? 11C, marquee installation at Vasquez High School with TDM Architects. Motion to open, please.
A motion.
Chad will second.
Chad. Dr. Zahakian.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. So like you said, TDM Architects, they've provided us a proposal and scope of work for installation of a marquee at VHS. Project entails preparation of working drawings to install a new marquee at the corner of the parking lot facing the driveway per the plan in the proposal itself dated February 7th. And this comes in at $21,885 as presented by TDM Architects. Thank you.
Board member discussion.
Does this include the price of the marquee?
No, we own the marquee already.
Did you get it back when you got the Vasquez horse back? Remember all that? It was in somebody's backyard. Hey, I'll post it on my video channel, the case of the missing Vasquez Mustang. You remember all that? Y'all thought I was crazy. Is this the one that somebody let go to a contractor that you found it back?
No, this is the one that was supposed to be installed at the Acton Agua Dulce. It's been sitting in, it's brand new. It's been
Because you
sitting-
didn't have DSA approval here. Yeah, I was waiting for that punchline. I've actually been here a really long time. That's it.
This is the wireless unit, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Get ready.
Can I put like signs on it myself if I drive by and write, don't vote for Fallsgraph or something like that, even though I'm not running?
No further discussion. Call the question.
Point of order, aye, Fallsgraph.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, I. Ms. Jensen is absent 401. 11D, AB 1200 CSEA. Motion to open.
A motion.
Brianna,
Chad will second.
Chad, Dr. Zahakian.
I think we just briefly mentioned this earlier. We received confirmation from LACO dated today, February 24th, confirming that our district is abiding by the appropriate protocols when it comes to public disclosure of the proposed collective bargaining agreement, CBA, with CSCA. Thank you.
Board member discussion.
Is this what we just voted on? The four things we just voted on, the one that has the compensation package, or is this for the teachers union negotiations that are ongoing?
This is
The
for
former.
CSEA, but this is the form for AB 1200 to prove that we could support for this fiscal year, 3 years out.
Okay, so this is where I come into it. In the agency I work for, there are sunshine hearings once this document is released. So my understanding in this environment, if I were to contest the vote we made tonight, usually the vote is made after this is sunshine for a month. So in the event that I wanted to be a member of the public and I want to contest this, I would file an injunction against our vote. That would be the legal remedy to this if somebody chooses to do that. That said, are you ready for me to vote?
Any other board comment discussion? Call the question.
Fallsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Ms. Jensen is absent. 401. 11E, revised salary schedules for CSEA and classified and confidential management. Move to open. I'll move it.
I'll second.
Brianna, Dr. Sahakian.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. It is recommended that our board approve the revised salary schedules for CSEA and classified and confidential management to reflect the 4% ongoing increase, as well as the $250 employer contribution for health and welfare benefits. And I'm not sure if my wonderful team to my right has anything to add to that. Thank you.
These are just the updated salary schedules to reflect the settlement with CSEA.
Board member discussion.
So what this means is based on those negotiations or successful negotiations and your approval of that, you're adjusting the steps to make it valid for everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.
No further. Call the question.
Fallsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Ms. Jensen is absent. 401. 11F, Lcap supplement. Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you. It's an informational item this evening. Dr. Mirza will be presenting the mid-year update to the LCAP supplement. This basically describes how we as a district engaged our educational partners on the use of the funds through the Budget Act that was not included in the original LCAP plan of 21-22. Mr. Mirza.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. So yes, like Dr. Sahakian said, this is just a requirement that's informational only to give you an update on the additional funding that we received after we as a school district adopted our budget. The state budget was still pending. So we got an influx of dollars. I wouldn't say it wasn't anticipated. We knew they were coming, but we just didn't have the finalized amounts. And so how did we incorporate that into our LCAP? And where are we with our data metrics, whatever data we do have to report back to you on each of the 5 goals that we decided to go with our LCAP? How are we doing on those? And where are we with the financial expenses? And the data that you're going to hear about the financial expenses at the end will capture expenses up till October, because that was first interim, and that's the most up-to-date data that we had. And so, yeah, let's go to the next slide. So the ed code, like I said, when our LCAP and budget was adopted, there was a lot of funding that we were anticipating that we didn't have final numbers on. And so now we're just providing an update on all the funds that we did receive. And most of these plans, actually all of these plans, we brought up to you guys and presented at the board to approve all of these plans. So you have the educator effectiveness grant, that's for $3, the expanded learning opportunity, the additional concentration grant, and the targeted instructional improvement block grant. Those weren't presentations, but those were additional fundings in our LCFF, which is our our main source of funding that they rolled into that. So the total of that was $2.8 million that we received. And these are the required responses for this supplement. So just to briefly capture it, prompt 1 is how we engaged our educational partners now, that's what they're calling it, but our stakeholders on how, the funding that wasn't included in our 2021 LCAP, how we plan to use the concentration grant funding to provide increased services to, the low-income English learners, foster youth. How did we engage our educational partners of use of the federal funds that we received? How did we implement the ESSER funding? And how are we using our LEA fiscal resources to align with our LCAP goals? Those are the 5 prompts of the entire template that we had to fill out. And this kind of captures, I'm not going to read everything, but each of the plans that weren't included, it kind of tells you how we engaged our stakeholders. So for instance, educator effectiveness grant, we consulted with our professional development council, which includes principal, counselors, TOSAs, classroom teachers, along with district admin to develop this plan for the funds that will be used for PD. For ESSER, expanded learning, we did surveys. Not only did we do surveys out to the families, we did stakeholder meetings with teachers, parents, EL, SWD, low income, to get their feedback on how they want us to, spend the dollars and how they want us to apply the funding. And yeah, that's what we did. And so let's see here, concentration grant funding. We received, this is specifically for the low-income foster youth and so forth, the ELs. We received about $69,000. And so what the district did was provide additional support for EL students, because that was a need that was highlighted by the parents through the stakeholder meetings. We hired 3 bilingual aides, and we're providing our current bilingual aides PD, training for bilingual aides, additional hours were provided to support EL, low-income and foster youth. And we also hired 2 additional aides for reading intervention program. Let's see here. So engagement on one-time federal funds. I kind of listed the survey results that we went through. This is for all of our ESSER $3, right? And so we had 119 responses, 75 were parents, 18 were teachers, 13% were community members, 6 for support staff. And so these are the 4 areas that rank the highest from the survey. So focus intervention programs specifically identify populations such as at-risk or dropping out of school students, extended before and after school tutoring programs, focus intercession tutoring, and then there was a tie between PD and acquiring evidence-based instructional materials. And then there were some other safety considerations, including upgrades to district facilities, social emotional well-being, such as counseling and social work activities that made it to the top as well. And so we're definitely not going to read all of these, but you guys have it in your packet. But these are just some of the successes and challenges of what we've had. So starting from the top, we have implemented our before and after school program through Sunny Days. Some challenges, well, that's success that we implemented, but some of the challenges they're facing is lack of enrollment. Maybe that's due to advertising, along with COVID quarantine restrictions, or maybe lack of interest, possibly. One of the successes of this program is actually they're working in collaborations with the teachers at the elementary schools to see the performance of the students that are in their program, along with with how they're doing at Meadowlark, and they've gave us some feedback and showed us performance that those students have actually improved. And so that's a success. What else? Let's see here. So another success is that the district is offering this 100% funded, so it's at no cost to parents for the time being, as long as we have the ESSER funds. Vasquez High School has subject tutoring available. Challenge for all schools is a lack of personnel, as we've been hearing that common theme throughout the year. We've hired an additional counselor, psychologist. Apex we're offering for credit deficiency. PD was done for classified and certificated. Let's see here. A success for the PDs, we had outside speakers coming in. One of the challenges were, I think one of the PDs, we had a little bit of lack of participation due to high levels of stress. Gaggle was another positive thing, hearing feedback from our counselors and our psychologists that this has been a great success and it's helping them on their daily basis. Obviously, the initial challenge was pushback due to privacy concerns, but we got through that. Technology upgrades is another highlight. We have Chromebooks, teacher laptops and whatnot. So that's pretty much it. And so here's another long-winded slide, which I didn't know what to cut out or what not to, because legally I have to go over everything, right? So this is how we're using our money. So I've listed goal 1, goal 2, goal 3, goal 4, goal 5. And if you look, goal 1, we've implemented PD, purchased materials for trauma-informed practices. Supplies are purchased for Nearpod, Quizlets, platforms, LPAC coordinator, attending training, switches and servers for IT are being purchased. Stipends are being paid out on time. EL support, Paxton Patterson Career Tech Lab has been implemented. Goal 2, if you guys remember, is on our attendance. The district is making calls. We're also offering testing, rapid testing, so they could, come back to school as soon as possible. Goal 3 was about engagement with community and connectedness with them. So we're doing road shows for the upcoming months. Fingerprinting newsletters, miscellaneous supplies are all being done. SARC software has been purchased. Blackboard and Survey Monkey have all been purchased. Goal 4 was about goal 4 was for counselor support and to make sure students are college and career ready. And so we added a counselor. We also are approving contract today. We have a psychologist on and we have a contract with a psychologist. Certificated staff are being provided their 1/6. Instructional aides were all provided extra hours. Athletic department has resumed, but with challenges. Obviously, games and charter buses are provided as needed, but they've had challenges with COVID restrictions. So this is kind of what we've been spending our money on. Everything in the LCAP is where our dollars should be going through. So every single one of these items is related to the goals in our LCAP. So goal 5 had to do with facilities and access to instructional materials. And we purchased the truck for the food service fan has been purchased. Gaggle, iBoss. We have partnerships with Antelope Village College. So yeah, that is that. So now we get to the part where we kind of go over a mid-year metrics of what the data that we do have available. So we have 5 goals. The first one was in academics. And this was our baseline. We set a goal to be for all students for our ELA CAS percentage to be at 53%. Obviously, CAS didn't happen last year. What we do have is our internal measurement, which is Renaissance Star, which we measure our students for our ELA and math. And so we have our data for 2021 results, and we landed at 41.78. The goal for all students is to be at 54.60. So for ELA, we're still falling behind. We need to improve on that area. For math, however, it's completely opposite, which I thought it would be flipped around, but I'm not a teacher. But for math, you saw during our 2020 results for ELA, through Renaissance, we landed at 54.68% for all of our students. And our goal was to be at 37.15. So I'm not sure. I mean, 2020-21 was due to COVID pandemic year. They were all learning virtually. And so they may have been able to pick up math, better than they were at English language arts. So here we go. Reclassification. I'm going to skip over the ones that you see that says not available because we just don't have data available at this point. Reclassification rate in 2021 out of 159 students, 19 were reclassified as English proficient. So that's 12%, and our goal is to be at 14. Students meeting the LPAC criteria at level 4 or higher, we're at 19%, and our goal is to be at 23. Certificated staff assignments, we're 100% credentialed. Goal 2, moving on. This is a goal that we definitely need to work on. It's all about our attendance. As you can see, our truancies, habitual truancies are more than 9. We're at 22%, and our goal is to be at 12. Our 3 or more absences, but less than 9 considered as a truancy. We're at 36%, and our chronic absenteeism rate is at 8.2, and we aim to be at 6.46. Student suspension, expulsion are all pretty much zero. Our attendance rate is dropped to 90%, which equates to about 881. That's kind of where we're projecting our, for our future second interim anyhow, but we're declining in our attendance rate. Goal 3, we don't have any of the results for it because, as you can see, they're all parent surveys and community input. So we can't get those to you. We will soon. We'll be putting those surveys out to our community staff, everyone else to fill out, because in a couple months, we'll be back up here presenting the Lcap to you. So, and goal 4, we got the high school graduation rate at 91.6. We're supposed to be at 98. Let's see here, AP exam, which was good. We had 30%, and our goal is to be at 33 by the end of 23-24. And let's see here, goal 5 on the top. We don't have any of these results, but we do have our facilities inspection tool that we got for this year. Actually, is 100%, and access to instructional materials was also 100%. And that's about it. So this next couple of slides that you're going to see are just tells you each goal, what it's for, the dollars we had budgeted, and where we are. So I mean, we're not going to go through every single piece, but I could tell you we're on track to spend what we said we were going to spend. And so if you go through, see maintain hire certificated staff, our total funds for that's 3.9. At October, we're at 1.3 million, and so forth. District oversight, salaries 1.3, we're at 439,000. So but yeah, you guys could go through that data and see where we are. That just kind of gives you, as of end of October, where we were with our expenses. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you.
Board member discussions?
First off, when you took over, you had suffered a $4 million annual loss because ABCD Econo Slick Charter School wasn't giving us any more money, right? And so that would burn up your reserve fairly quickly. I remember the last time you come in here, you told us that you had $2.4 million in funding. Now that's jumped up to 2.8. So you only have 1 point whatever to get to the illegal charter revenue. So thank you. That's really important, because if you don't use this money and you lose it, you're basically booting that loss that people would have had to go through suddenly, compounded by 100 kid loss in ADA is $1 million. Okay, so you're kind of, the effect this has is you're actually improving educational programs, facilities, your Williams, all that kind of stuff is shown to be 100%. I'm glad to see that your community outreach is in a couple of the usual faces at a site council meeting, and we're calling that a day. It looks to me like your English learner, your DLAC and ELAC participation has gone up significantly. Would that be a good characterization?
Yes.
And that you're actually extracting data from people that are actually the targets that the funding is supposed to benefit. So your scores are going up. What else do we have here? We got finance, we got.
I just want to mention, this is not a one-man show. Kim Shaw, Nicole Chud, and Alexa left.
Don't blame it on
Also
them,
really
please.
Put a lot of time and effort into
Yeah,
this.
don't try to blame them, right? Okay, here's the one question I have. It seems to me that if you're accessing and getting over 100 responses from what's basically the Title I groups, is there anything we can do to improve any language barriers that we have are you cognizant of that?
I think we are cognizant of our issues with our EL, and we're building the EL master plan.
But the responses, like I said, I don't want to hear that, two people were sitting in a site council, we're checking the box, and then we write in, oh, yeah, we ran this by the public.
Yeah, no,
You're not, your score, your numbers are showing, Kim, in the back end of this. And I think the idea is they give you the money with the expectation of actually get some results. A good job, that's all.
This, I know, is a lot of work, and a lot of thought and a lot of time, a lot of patience goes into putting something together like this. So thank you to you and your whole team, Alexa and Nicole and Kim. Thank you guys so much.
Say thank you to the four of you guys for putting the plan together, and thank you for presenting it to us. Appreciate it.
Educational dollars are tough. It's hard to get money. The work that you put in is resort that you and Kim and the rest of your team, thank you for your efforts on that. It's very much appreciated. It's that long, steady draw that we do to make the accomplish and get back out of this pandemic. Thank you. A, second read adoption, AR 4217.3 layoff or rehire. Motion to open. Chad,
I'll second.
Brianna, Dr. Zahakian.
Thank you. Earlier in the board meeting, the previous board meetings, the board requested for AR 4217.3 layoffs and rehire to be reviewed by CSEA leadership, and that happened via Misha and CSEA. They had an opportunity to review the CSBA recommended language for revisions to this AR, and there were no concerns. They're in agreement with the CSBA revisions as listed.
Board member discussion. Thank you, Dr. Zahakian. 13, calendar. The next board meeting is scheduled for.
Shall we vote?
That's just a discussion item. Oh, mine says discussion. Call the question.
Falls Graph, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, I. Ms. Jensen is absent. 401. 13, calendar. The next regular board meeting will be March 10th, followed by the next one at the end of March, March 24. Future agenda items, number 14. Board members, any discussion on the future agenda items?
Do I need to put on the suggestion that the superintendent open up a slot, typical reporting, report out that there is a slot for community announcements? Does that require action?
No.
Would, did I hear you right that you would say that someone would present something and he would read it or they would read it?
No. What I was after is when Pam came in here and said the CEQA for the high-speed rail, the students are coming in to do the spatial analysis of our trails. If someone were to contact the superintendent and the superintendent would realize this is not some partisan thing, nobody's pushing something, this is just a community announcement. What I'm trying to do is save people's time at the microphone to cuss me if they need to and not burn it up on stuff that makes the community aware.
So you're saying they have our superintendent would look at it and put it on the agenda
In his reporting
in
structure.
his reporting structure.
Right.
Is there a problem with that? Is that a
No.
bad idea?
That could be a staple on the superintendent report.
Cool. You remember we used to have safe routes to school and stuff that was local, that was pertinent at the time. It could be a tab like that.
There may be some days there may not be.
Sure, it just depends on the volume that we get for that board meeting. But
When it goes south, blame me.
I like the idea.
Okay.
Perfect.
Hearing nothing further. 15, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Chad moved.
Chad,
I'll second.
Brianna. Hearing no discussion, call the question.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, I. Ms. Jensen is absent. We stand adjourned at 9:56.